How's it going, Song of Ice and Fire fans? Grant from Yecats Miniatures here, bringing you another unboxing for a Song of Ice and Fire, the miniatures game. And today we're looking at Robb Stark Crannogmen Bog Devils. And we're going to start with my lovely hands, opening a lovely box of Crannogmen Bog Devils. And as you can see here, we're treated to 4 separate sculpts in this box. Some really nice artwork. I mean, are they ambushing some Greyjoys, I guess? I mean, I'm only sort of making assumptions based on the armour because it's quite Greyjoyish. If you know what they are, leave a comment in the section below, let us know what they're fighting against. A standard 12-man infantry tray, a unit card. Now, we'll be going over this in more detail with Brett in a little while after we've seen the sculpts. And 7 points. I don't really know how I feel about these guys being 7 points, but I'm sure Brett's going to convince me. And we see the Crannogmen Poison card. Now, it's a mechanic that we haven't seen outside of Martell's, but really fitting that it's sort of going with the Crannogmen Bog Devils. Quite a nice mechanic, really, making you sort of force you to decide between the tokens and the poison. So let's get stuck into the sculpt. So the first sculpt, I don't really know how I feel about this guy waving a hanky at me, but you know, I'm sure I'll get over it. Quite a standard pose, really, not much going on. The trident quite low. Lots of detail on his tunic and these overalls and on the cloaks and stuff. So, you know, there's a lot we can do there as painters. So it'd be quite nice to see these when people start getting these painted and out and about. Second sculpt, probably my favourite. He's sort of lunging forward with the trident. Bit more action, bit more dynamism in this pose. The net wrapped around his hand. Loads of detail on these guys. Look at the sort of the strapping around his legs and the leather sort of bags around his waist and the short sword. Quite like how the hood's fallen away from his head as well, which is quite nice. Then we look at the third pose. I quite like this one. Quite nice. It's it's more of a stalkery pose than an attacking pose. So this guy's more of a stalker than a fighter, sort of walking along at a gentle pace, dragging his net along, trident held aloft, ready to throw into his victim. And nice beard. Everyone likes a nice beard. This one I'm not so sure about. I don't know how I feel about his massive hair and the net being really high, really quite big. I don't know. Maybe it's just me being picky, but it's still a nice sculpt, lots of detail. But I really believe that with the right colour palette and the right sort of painting style, you're going to be able to make these guys really pop. So I'm going to leave you with a spinning shot here, so you can see what they look like ranked up. And I want to go and jump on the call with Brett to discuss what these guys add to the Stark arsenal. Hey Brett, how you doing?
Hey man, I'm doing pretty well. How are you?
Not too bad at all, man. Just been busy unboxing these bad boys, so you know we need you in there to get your expert opinion on how I can win with Starks. Because in a previous statement, you said you won with Stark.
I was just gonna say, being perfectly honest, this unit is kind of near and dear to my heart. I've been hard on this unit since they came out. I've spread the gospel about them. I think that some people have caught on to them, but I think they're criminally underrated. This is just a phenomenal unit. I can't wait to take this down.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I quite like the idea of them synergising with the Crannogmen trackers, like obviously scouting the Crannogmen tracker shots, but I mean, we get into that later on. So, so we got our card in front of us now. We can go through this with the poison mechanic now. You've been doing the faction analysis with the obviously the faction experts, and you've been reading the card. So, would you like to read the card, or would you like me to read the card to give you a break?
I need a break. I'm going to let you read it. I don't know if I can handle all of this.
I will read that card for you, Bet. I will read the shit out of that card. So, we're looking at the Crannogmen Bog Devils. So, they are coming at 7 points, which is quite steep for a unit. We've seen, recently, we've seen quite a few units drop from 7 to 6 or 8 to 7. So, be interesting to see what you can't pick up on the 7 point side of things. We've got a 6-inch movement, which is really good for an infantry unit, normally only seen on cavalry. We've got the attack profile, poison trident. So they hit the 3+, which is cool. It's, to be fair, at 7 points, that's sort of what you'd like to see. and a 754 stats characteristic for the attack profile. We've got a 5+ defense save and a 5+ morale, which is, so a pretty solid profile there. And on the right hand side of the card, we have an order, scout openings. So it reads, start of a friendly turn, target one enemy in long range. Until the end of the turn, friendly units attacks on that enemy, re-roll any attack dice and gain precision. Then we have another order, swift retreat. After an enemy completes a melee attack on this unit performs one retreat action. So quite a nice defensive order there. And then finally we have a really cool poison mechanic attack, which is Poison Trident. So it's for the melee attacks, obviously, because they haven't got a ranged attack. And we see this really cool poison symbol next to the attack as well. So before rolling attack dice, we choose one. The defender becomes weakened. Or attach one Crannog poison card to the defender. So that's the basic card there, Brett. I'm going to quickly jump over and read out the Crannog poison card as well, just so that we know that we've got the full picture for people that might be listening to this whilst driving. Obviously not watching their phone whilst driving, but listening to it as a podcast in a sensible manner. So we have Crannog poison. Each time this unit performs an action, so obviously this card is attached to the enemy, as we've just stated in that Poison Trident's attack. So each time this unit performs an action, before resolving that action, it suffers 1 wound, plus 1 wound if it has any condition tokens on it. If this unit would ever remove a condition token, you may remove this card instead of that token. So that's the card, Brett. That's the Crannog poison card. That's the unit card. 7 points. Are they worth it? What are your initial thoughts on them?
Oh, I think they're absolutely worth it. To be honest, I don't even think it's a case of, you're looking at the profile and the abilities and they seem maybe a little bit underwhelming. I think they're great. For those of us that have played Martell Skirmishers or have played Little Jorah on the Targaryen side, we should know how powerful Scout Openings is. Now, you're combining that with Swift Retreat, which is a great ability, and then the poison is a phenomenal mechanic, and it's a really strong counter to things that do multiple actions in a turn or in a round even. So I'm looking at things like any cavalry unit, ranger hunters that hypothetically do 3 actions in 1 turn. Dothraki veterans, same way, they can do 3 actions in 1 turn. And it goes, you can make a case for Martell Skirmishers because they're trying to use swords or the horse to get that free attack and then take the second attack, so it hurts them as well. But overall, just any big nasty that you want to put a dent in, you throw this card on. It's a good counter to free folk monsters, the giants in particular. Poison Mag the Mighty, see if he's really wanting to swing around like a raving lunatic the way he loves to do. There's a number of, there's no bad place to stick this card. And then when you pair that with it's misleading survivability. A 5+5+ is, it's borderline an elite profile. I would say you've got to get 4+, 5+ to be considered really an elite defensive profile. But 5+5+ definitely isn't bad. They shouldn't be failing too many panic tests, and they just work so well in a Howland list. I absolutely love this unit.
Yeah, on paper, great. That poison mechanic seems really cool. Especially it's faults in the opponent's hand. Instead of removing that weakened condition, do they remove the Crannog poison? Instead of removing vulnerable, do they remove the Crannogmen poison card? It's anything that forces your opponent to make a choice is I always find quite cool. And you're right, Scout Openings is uber powerful. We see it. I use it personally with Jorah, the Explorer. It ramps up the Dothraki veterans, obviously, to an incredible level. 7 points, does that not deter you? Are you happy with 7 points?
I'm happy with 7 points. If they were 6 points, these guys would be absolutely insane. It would be nutty. I've found room for them in my Howland list at 7. Even with attachments, I find room to get these guys in. I think they are definitely worth 7. They're a strong example of what a 7-point unit should be, really. They're not overwhelming with offense, but they're a mixed offense, tech, and support unit. I think they're in a really good spot.
Do you tend to find you use them more with the Howland Reed commander more than anybody else, or they just work better with Howland?
They're great with Howland, obviously, because you're wanting the Crannog affiliation. Yeah. They work in general with ranged attacks. So if you're running Stark bowmen, or if you're running Crannogmen trackers in particular, will benefit a ton because their ranged hits on 4+, so you can juice that up really well. They also have a natural synergy with Robb, because Robb has regroup, and they've got swift retreat order, and additionally they've got a retreat card from Robb, so they can potentially get hammered twice and retreat twice in a round. It's
quite a cool unit, and I really like them. I've got a couple of boxes of them, so I'll give them a go. Give them a run out. What sort of attachments are you using with these guys to really make them work?
Yeah, so in-house, of course, Robb Commanders, I already mentioned, is a natural fit. He works really well with things that are giving him free retreat actions. As far as attachments that you can buy on the Stark side, the Crannog Survivalist is also just a natural perfect fit. They've got elusive escape and swift retreat, so they're going to put a weakened token on you as they retreat. They can move to your flank, move backwards, move wherever they want. You're not able to pivot as a result. But additionally, you throw out that weakened token, which now, after that unit does what it's doing later, they're going to take those wounds from the poison, potentially 2 wounds, because they've got a token on them. Additionally, the Sworn Sword Captain isn't bad. Sworn Sword Captain's bringing martial training, so you've got more ability to place vulnerable tokens. You're juicing up their offense as well. And it's less tempting to use that scout orders on their own attack, because you can get your own rerolls in the vulnerable token from the Sworn Sword Captain. I've run them with Rickon and Asha, just to get Shaggy Dog in the list. You don't necessarily have to do it, but he would make them a good morale of 4, give them counter strikes and stubborn tenacity. So now you're really bolstering the defense of that unit, because they've now got basically morale 4, counter strikes for misses. They provide weakened tokens, so you can really kind of get a train going with Rickon and Asha tying that unit up really well. Sticking some wounds in from stubborn tenacity, more auto wounds from the poison. And then on the neutral side, I really love them with Reek and Ramsey. I think Reek and Ramsey are probably the best infantry attachment in the game. I know that they cost 2 points. I try to squeeze them in every single list that's not Night's Watch. And they work really well. I mean, they're soft, but when you add Fueled by Slaughter, they can stick a wound in just to heal.
Yeah.
And then you stick them, where you want to go with, and use Reek's Order to then put out panic tokens, which works really well for the poison, but also it's kind of a support piece for the entire army, because you provide more panic tokens for the Starks to take advantage of.
Just then you mentioned the Crannogmen Survivalist. Now, I'm really surprised that we haven't seen that attachment in this box, because honestly, when this unit was announced and sort of leaked and previewed, I honestly thought that he would be in this box. But on the other hand, it sort of makes me quite optimistic about the fact that we may see a 3rd Crannogmen unit, which is quite cool. Yeah.
I think you're not off base with that. I was expecting him to be in this box as well, and he's not. And so obviously the Crannogmen Warden comes with the Crannogmen Trackers, so it does seem to indicate that perhaps the Survivalist is going to be in a 3rd Crannogmen unit. And it might have Swift Retreat as well.
Yeah, or is he such a good Survivalist, he's actually hiding under the cardboard in the box?
That could be it. I need to reopen mine and take a look, because he might be just camouflaged in there so well that it's a game within the game. You got to find the Survivalist.
You wouldn't see him. He's got elusive escape. You wouldn't even know who's there.
He's John Cena. You can't see me. You can't see me.
Nice. You've convinced me to give him a run, and the miniatures look great. We just seen him in the unboxing. The rules are cool, pretty solid.
Hey, try Roderick NCU. Make your opponent cry. It's not just the claiming the blades and putting a vulnerable token out for your trackers before they shoot with the scout orders. Roderick's got the ability to reset those tokens. So if you've got a couple units of Crannogmen trackers shooting in for support, you're able to scout orders twice. I mean, that's nasty. That's what I've been doing with them. I've been using Roderick either to reset hidden traps, because I run the trackers with them, or to be able to reset that scout orders. And that is the pain train. That is the pain train when you've got, potentially 14 dice in that turn or in that round with rerolls and precision. You will put a dent in things.
So that's mine and Brett's insight into how we would use the Crannogmen Bog Devil. Some really cool little gems there of how you might use them, what attachments you might use. But you guys are the people that are using them, so make sure you leave a comment in the comment section below how you're using them, how you're getting the best out of them, what attachments are you using them, and are they winning you games, most importantly, because Brett claims he's winning games with Starks, but I don't believe him.
Hey, I've beat up Martells with my Howland list. That's a pretty big statement.
It is a pretty big statement, but is it true?
It is true.
I believe you. I totally believe you. Well, make sure you like and subscribe to the channel, and if you fancy it, have a little share of the video. Take care. I'll speak to you soon. Cheers, Brett.
Yep. See you guys.